This is one of the most important topics to understand for all of biology on the MCAT. Which combination below would most favor reabsorption of fluid into the capillaries? Anytime you're thinking about fluid leaving or entering a capillary, you need to be thinking about 4 different pressures. The first 2 pressures are in the blood. First, we have the hydrostatic pressure of the blood. And this is the pressure that the blood is exerting on the walls of the capillaries. And it points out from the blood towards the tissue. So as this force increases, it will push fluid out of the capillary. Next, we have the osmotic pressure of the blood. And this is the sucking pressure caused by solutes dissolved in the blood. This will pull liquid from the tissue back into the blood. So as this pressure goes up, the net movement of fluid going into the capillary will increase. Now we have those same 2 pressures, but from the perspective of the tissue. The tissues in our body have cells, of course, but then between those cells, there is space. And that space is called the interstitial space, and there is fluid that fills that space. Well, that fluid also has a hydrostatic pressure and an osmotic pressure. The osmotic pressure from that is going to pull fluid from the capillaries into the interstitial fluid. And then the hydrostatic pressure, which is the pressure exerted by the actual liquid that's in that space, is going to push fluid back into the capillary. So for both hydrostatic pressures, you need to be thinking that as the volume of the fluid increases, that pressure increases. And for the osmotic pressures, you need to be thinking that as the number of dissolved solutes increases, that pressure increases. And then you just need to remember the direction that that pressure tends to push fluid. So we're looking for which combination of these pressures leads to the most movement of fluid into the capillaries. So that would be low amounts of the arrows that point out and high amounts of the arrows that point into the capillaries. And the answer that matches that best is B, because we have a low capillary hydrostatic, so we're not pushing fluid out. We have a high capillary oncotic pressure, and oncotic pressure is just the osmotic pressure that's created by the proteins in the blood. So it doesn't include all of the solutes, it's just talking about the osmotic pressure from the proteins. And then low interstitial oncotic pressure. So that means that we will have that low pulling force of fluid out of the capillaries.